All right. Welcome to Connecting One Meal at a Time podcast. It's February 15th, 2026. And I'm Kate Bean. I'm your solo host and guest today. Let's see, that's been the same every podcast because we don't have any guests yet, but we're going to. Right now, it's just really great for me to be able to have time to think about my last week and all the opportunities I had to connect over meals with both myself and with other people. So, as usual, in a Kate Bean style, I'm jumping in without any plan or notes or anything in front of me. And I'm just thinking back on my week and thinking how, let's see, this time last week, so this time last Sunday, let's start there. Actually, I didn't do my podcast because I was in Florida with really good friends, Connie and Carmel. And we were at Carmel's place on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And this time last year, we were having a good time, just messing around. But we were getting ready to go to the Super Bowl, which we ended up seeing at the club that's there where Carmel lives, and it was just cool. Like, just chalk up a new experience to watch the Super Bowl. And as I sat in the kind of dining room with the big screen and all the food stations, I just kind of took a moment to think about all the Super Bowls I've had in my lifetime. And I thought, has there ever been a Super Bowl that didn't have food? I'm like, nope, always have had food. So again, when you bring people together, I think just we all know intuitively in our bodies that food is the thing. The food, the thing that brings us together, the thing that immediately bonds us without having to say anything else. So, if you're going to go to a Super Bowl party, it's people hosting will have food, or the people going will say, "What can I bring?" And so it's an immediate connection on something, again, that's universal. So I was thinking about that sitting in the banquet room, and then of course, I had to come up with my strategy. So different food stations, like, that's a dilemma for me. It's fantastic because I love a super sampler, but it's hard because, I you can only have like you can only eat so much. And it seems like the older I get, the less I can eat at one sitting. I'm better if I have smaller meals throughout the day. But so it's just a dilemma. I was a little overwhelmed. But then I came up with a strategy that I'll do a super sampler of each station, and then I'll decide if there's one thing that's really worth going back to kind of finish off my meal. So I started with some really amazing Wisconsin cheddar soup, which was really great, but I just did a little bit. And there was a pretzel with it. I just had a little piece of that. And I went to the wing station, which, if anybody knows me, that I love a wing. I love making wings. There was this cool time, you know, back in the day where we do hot wings on the driveway with our girls and our neighbors, and I just loved cooking wings for everybody. And we'd sit around on a blanket and see if we could just, put a big pot for bones in the middle and just eat wings and throw the bones in the pot. So anyway, I had that memory there. Um, so I had some wings. I had a little bit of a lobster roll. I had some beef on weck, which again made me think immediately and told my table. I told Connie and Carmel, like, beef on weck. You guys know what that is, right? And they're like, no. And I was like, yeah, I do, because I visited my friends up in New York, upstate New York, and we had beef on weck at this really great little restaurant. So anyway, that was fun, a fun memory, fun connection to the past. And gosh, what other stations were there? Pizza, which I'm not usually a pizza person, but this was quite good, actually. So those were the main stations. We'll get to dessert in a minute. So anyway, it was just fun. And again, I noticed, like, what is that about me? What is the super sampler thing? Must be about a fear of missing out on something that's really good. It might be I just love variety and novelty. I don't know, but it just made me think: do food choices reflect who we are? How we show up in the world. And so, anyway, I was thinking about that a little bit. But I did go back and I kind of settled in on some more wings, of course, not a hard guess. And And then it saved room for dessert because there was coconut ice cream and some other fun, yummy desserts. And Carmel brought me a dessert. And was I very full? Yeah, very full. But I also thoroughly enjoyed it and had such great just gratitude for that unique experience, right? Watching the Super Bowl with a bunch of other people, and so that was great. So that was my one experience. That during the week, let's see. Oh, here's a cool one. Like, I don't know if it's food per se. Maybe this is a stretch, but it's definitely being open and present and noticing the extraordinary and the ordinary and what happens. And so I had to get some documents notarized for some insurance claims for the schools. And I just said, I'm going to go into the square. Like, I don't know where I can do this, but I'll try my bank first. Went to Chase Bank. And, and she's like, oh, our notary, we don't have a notary anymore. And I said, okay. So she said, maybe try somewhere else in the square. And so then I'm like, oh, I have a Capital One credit card. I'll go into the Capital One cafe. And maybe they have notary services. So I went in there. Just I'd never been there. 3 years in Harvard Square. Never been in the Capital One cafe. And I was greeted with this really nice woman. Her name was May, and she's like, "You've never been here? Look at this is what we have, and it's 50% off drinks if you're a Capital One card holder and you use your Capital One card." And I know that's her job, but I just feel like she went above and beyond. The fact that she goes, "You've never been here, then this coffee's on me." And she just walks me up to the counter and waits with me. Well, there's a little bit of a line, right? So I just thought it was so cool, the connection that she just would wait with me um, to get up to the counter. I mean, she probably could have just waited to see when I got to the counter and come up and tell the barista that, the coffee was free for me. But she just waited and just started chatting. And we just started chatting about stuff. And it was just really fun. Like first you're just kind of, it's like, she must have other people she needs to talk to. But I guess I really noticed my appreciation for customer service and the difference that can make in somebody's life and on a daily basis, because we're always interacting, right, with people in either retail or in service. And when people are really good at it, at service, it can be a huge, again, extraordinary, ordinary moment, or turning an ordinary moment into an extraordinary moment. So, so it was just really nice. And then, of course, she said we don't have any notary services, but it was just great to get the coffee. And then she said, "Why don't you try next door at the Harvard Credit Union?" So I'm like, "I'm not really a member of the Harvard Credit Union, but I'll try that. I mean, I need to get these notarized." And it was a Friday, and I needed to get them in. So I went next door, and again, this nice woman, Kayla, just is like, "Oh yeah, we got you." Like I said, "I'm not a member though." Like, "Oh, it's okay. It's just like $1.25 per notary signature." And I'm like, "Oh, I can do that. I have 6 pages. That's great." So at one point she's like, "Well, I'll let you know when someone's available." And then she saw me waiting for a while, and then she just comes over and says, "Come on, I'll do it." And so we just had the nicest chat about the insurance and the fires of my schools and me stepping back in as interim executive director. And I don't know, this probably doesn't have anything to do with food, but it just kind of, yeah, it was just a cool moment because when we were all said and done, she's like, I said, "Oh, here, can I pay? How do I pay?" And she's like, "Oh, cash only." I was like, "I don't have any cash. I only brought my credit card, that was in the back of my phone." So then she's like, "Oh, there's an ATM." And I tried it over and over and over. And it didn't work. And then I came back and she's like, "Oh, it only takes MasterCard ATM." Like, mine's a Visa. And then she's like, "You know what? Forget about it. It's on me. We got this." So 2 times in less than an hour, someone's like, "It's on me." And I thought that's a term, right, that we use a lot when it comes to food. When people buy you a drink, "It's on me," or, a food, "It's on me. Dinner's on me." And I just thought, here were 2 people in service that just created random acts of kindness and these extraordinary, ordinary moments in a time of which I was kind of stressed, like, where am I gonna get these notarized? And so anyway, it was really cool. Maybe not food related, but I do think the term "it's on me" is a very, very powerful term. And I wonder when people say it, if they really know what it can do for the other person who's experiencing the generosity of that statement and the outcome of that statement. So that was great. So I think, yeah, so that was just really nice. And then it all topped off Friday night with this really lovely meal with my good friend Fairly, who's from Australia, and she's back in town. She was in the fellowship with me a couple years ago, and she just was so kind in just hosting a lovely, I guess what you'd call Sunday roast, but it was Friday night roast of a chicken, which she calls a chook. And so that was just fun. Roasted chicken and lamb and roasted pumpkin and potatoes and carrots and onions, just amazing meal. And she brought together some of us across cohorts. So she brought together some folks from the 2025 cohort, and then Sarah, and then her husband Matt and Lori, and it just made me at the table. I was just thinking again, food, but it was I guess it's that same theme. It's fairly saying, "Hey, this is on me. I'm going to host a dinner and put in all this time to prep and cook and have everybody over." And so it was just easy. It was easy and fun and a reconnection. And I was thinking how, how food brings reconnection. It brought reconnection, in so many times in my life. And so people get together. Again, it's typically around food. Like it can be other things because sometimes you could say, let's go play pickleball, I guess, is a reconnection, or, an activity, let's go for a walk. But I would think 90% of the time, people are going to reconnect over a cup of coffee or reconnect over a meal. So yeah, so there again, all types of connection for me this last week. It started again with reconnecting with old friends and noticing my connection with food and how I show up in the world, and then this connection over a cup of coffee at the Capital One Cafe, and then ending Friday night with just just a really lovely time, great food, great drink, great friends. So that's that. There you have it. That's my connecting one meal at a time. So funny. I think the I could just keep going because I think there's something to not being prepared with any particular story, but just reflecting on my week, which is really powerful because now I'm a little overwhelmed, almost emotional with how many more things I could talk about this week. How many more, you know, my daughter Avery and her boyfriend just bringing some food home for me last night on Valentine's Day after their Valentine's dinner, and just thinking of me to bring some food home. And I mean, there's so many ways this week, food and connection happened. So that's it for this week, Connecting One Meal at a Time podcast. I am looking forward to having people on at some point when the time is right. And I hope that everyone, all my 2 subscribers, but we're going to pretend like there's a lot of subscribers, but all of them, hoping you find a connection either with yourself or with others during a meal this week, and notice those extraordinary, ordinary moments that can be found both, around food and over a meal. But actually, when you start doing it, and get good at it during mealtime, I think you'll realize you'll see them and notice them everywhere. Extraordinary, ordinary moments everywhere. All right. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.